All right, have and have not fans. Now, this isn't going to be a theory video. It's just more of an open discussion. And I'm going to say this. I mean, I was actually not surprised, but kind of overwhelmed by the amount of comments and likes and stuff like that on certain tweets and stuff I made on Facebook, Twitter, as well as content in some of my other videos going over Undercover Vice episode 3 of season 5. And I talked about how overall I gave the episode a 9 out of 10. Some of the low points, in my opinion, well, I'd say the main low points was Hanna at the beginning of the episode and Candace at the end of the episode. It's like literally I just wanted the both of them to shut up so bad, because I said it before that I wanted the opening of this episode to, of course, pick up where we left off, where Hanna catches Benny walking in the hospital holding Veronica's hands as she's brought into the emergency room. And I wanted to, have Hanna, of course, do her spiel about how I told you not to do this and talk to her and do that. And I'm just like, okay, this would be a perfect opportunity for Benny. I could see him easily being overwhelmed by his mom, but then have Mitch swoop in at the 11th hour to explain the situation, because that's what he's really good for. On the other hand, Hanna literally just jumped down Benny's throat. The way that Hanna was jumping down Benny's throat was really the same thing she does with Candace in terms of just assuming the worst. 99% of the time, Hanna is right about calling Candace out on her bullcrap, but she has been wrong a few times. One of the biggest ones is speculating that she was the reason her house was destroyed in order for Quincy Jr. to not be in her custody, when indeed it was actually Quincy himself who drove the car into the house to make it catch on fire. When it comes to Benny, it's getting to the same thing where, again, she just assumes the worst. If she would have shut her mouth for just a few seconds and let Benny explain, I can understand Benny not being able to properly verbalize what he wants to say, because, number one, he's just too through. He's had enough with, Hanna literally just telling him off nonstop. But secondly, it's just like, after everything that just went down between risking his own life to save a stranger, remember, he didn't know it was Veronica in that vehicle. He just knew that somebody was in there. He's like, yo, Mitch, 911, I'll go ahead and see if I can get her out of here. And if anything, you would think that Hanna would be proud of her son. I mean, yes, I understand she has reservations about him going to the hospital with her and whatnot, but at the same time, that's another human being, even if you don't care for him. I mean, YouTube, I hope they don't mark the video down for this or whatever, or flag it, but think about, again, I really try not to talk about politics here, but I remember, when President Trump got elected and whatnot, he was running for office, and when he got in the White House, the memes and whatnot, it's like, hey, if you saw Donald Trump hanging for a cliff and you could save his life, would you help him up or let him fall? And then people were like, let him fall. He's nothing good for the country and this and that. And then other people who commented with stuff I agree with in terms of, look, regardless of not, if you have the ability to help someone, you just help someone, because you do something. Sometimes you don't do it for the person, but you do it because it's the right thing to do. Same thing with Benny. It's the same thing in that situation where he put his life on the line for someone he didn't even know. Well, he didn't know who that person was. For all we know, that could have been a character that he never met before. Like, let's say, theoretically speaking, it was, wow, I'm trying to think of a female character that has been killed off that Benny hadn't met before. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank right here. Let's say it was Justin's wife. I'm just throwing that out there. Let's say Justin's wife was the one in the car with Melissa and Benny risked his life. He would have just been saying, man, calm down, and trying to help you. And that would have been that. But again, instead of congratulating her son on, hey, helping somebody out, you did the right thing, might have briefly scolded, like, Benny, you could have died in there saving her. But at the same time, that's a mother's natural instinct. But the second instinct should have been like, hey, I'm proud of you for doing the right thing. And as a Christian, again, you would think she would be appreciative that her son did something noble. I can agree that, hey, why isn't her husband here? Because he doesn't want anything to do with her or whatnot. But to just harass Benny like that, I could not get Hanna to shut up quick enough. I'm going to be honest here. Same thing when Mitch showed up. I'm like, here comes the guy who's going to explain everything, because Hannah's like, what were you doing there? How'd you see her? It's like, well, me and Mitch were driving by. Where he at? He right behind me. Should be here any minute. When Mitch showed up, oh no, she just jumped down his throat too. What, you know where too? And Mitch is like, wait, what? What's going on? Come on, we're leaving. Okay. And I'm just like, okay, hands down, this is probably one of the worst openings to an episode in my opinion. That was just, again, I knew Hanna was going to be upset, but at the same time, your son did something that you should be proud of. Yes, she is right. Veronica will most likely burn everybody if, you know, she's done with them. But on the other hand, let's think about what Benny said about, hey, I'll be nice to her because she's one of the best lawyers and we need her help in this situation. You know, the whole Quincy thing and whatever else is going on, because again, they'll probably need legal assistance. And think of the times that Catherine has told Hanna that Veronica is the best of the best. And as she said before, sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And I'm just like, again, Hanna, just because you don't want to work with Veronica, just because you don't want to take the house that Catherine's given you, you don't have to stand in everybody else's way. That's when, I mean, literally. So her reaction to Benny saving Veronica and then coming to the hospital and whatnot, this is probably what would happen in another video I talked about if Tony showed back up again on the show. And let's say it was Benny's choice to give the kid, let's say he did know that Tony wanted him off life support because he needs a kidney. Let's say Benny, it was his decision to make the choice. Okay, first let's see if I'm a match. If I'm a match, then I'll decide I'll give you a kidney or not. Then I wanted Hanna to stand in the way of that, but then, you know, not to throw it in her face, but have Benny say, well, hey, as a Christian, you should know that we should help those who can't help themselves, and it's our obligation to help out all of God's children, or whatever the case may be. And then that'll be egg on her face. But this moment with her in the hospital was not one of those moments. Yes, I understand she's grieving because she just read Quincy Jr.'s last letter, but at the same time, that was just no reason to jump on Benny like that. So I did not like that opening. Hanna got on my last nerves. But then we get to the end of the episode where Candace stole the show in terms of most annoying character, because not only does she continue to blame Hanna for the death of her son, she throws Benny under the bus as well, saying that you're the one that made me give custody of my son to her. I remember that they were both in Jennifer Salz's office, and Benny brought her down there to get rid of the restraining order, or the warrant to arrest Hanna for kidnapping. I remember Catherine was like, Miss Young on the run. That was a good episode. And it was during that time Quita showed up, and it was about the whole, you murdered my brother. So what I'm saying here is that Candace did have a valid point that Quincy Jr. would be alive in foster care. It's just that she would have done it out of spite because she didn't want Quincy Jr. to be with her mom. But at the end of the day, it just got really annoying that she's doing the same thing over and over again. And there are two particular scenes that I need to bring up, or dialogue. Number one, Hanna was right. I did like Hanna at the end of the episode when she's just like, Benny, just stop it. It doesn't matter. She's going to see things the way she wants to see it. Sorry about that. Phone was going off for some reason. But also look at the point that, okay, she knows her daughter in the sense that, hey, you know what? There's no convincing her. She's going to believe what she wants to believe. So we just might as well move on from that. Then, of course, let's talk about the beginning of the episode and the ending. Number one, I want to talk about Benny not giving Hanna the information. It's like, she's at a hotel. It's the Artesian, not the Sarandon, but I'm not going to give you the room number because, Mom, I don't want you to go over there. And Hanna was right. What, she over there conning? She back to her old tricks. And again, Benny was right in the sense of, look, it's not a good time to go over there. She's still mad and whatnot. And then we get to the end. So he was one of my favorite parts. He was one of my favorite parts where Benny was like, you know what? Stop it. Just stop it. Because every time you tell me to come bring you over to where Candace is, both of you do the same thing. You go back and forth, nothing gets resolved. I love that because, again, kind of like George talking about how confusing the entire storyline is between the Harringtons and the Criers, Benny said the same thing about the relationship between Candace and Hanna. It's just nonstop bickering. Nothing gets resolved. It's just a waste of everybody's time. So with that being said, I just want to voice my opinion. Candace and Hanna were just overly annoying in this episode. If I want to be honest here, I think they're just nonstop bickering, and the fact that, you know, Hanna's still jumping down people's throats. I feel like the beginning and end of the episode, up until the part where her dad comes in the room, that's mainly the reason why this episode didn't get a 10 out of 10, because of the opening and the ending. So with that being said, based off the feedback, I'm just going to ask the question anyway, but I really think everybody will agree. Do you think that, you know, in particular Hanna and then Candace were just overly annoying in this episode? So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you in the next video.